The silver transport ship glided through the dark space around Zephyr Prime University. Inside the ship, 3 alien students pressed their faces against the viewing ports, watching the massive space station grow larger as they approached. Each student came from a different world, but they all shared the same excited energy about their upcoming exchange program. Kethaval shifted his crystalline body, creating small musical notes as his diamond-like surfaces rubbed together. He had traveled from the Zilithian homeworld, where his people lived in perfect harmony with their planet's natural crystal formations. His body caught the light from the station's windows and threw tiny rainbows across the ship's walls. He had never been away from his home planet before, and everything about this journey felt new and wonderful. Next to him, Ypnora kept her large eyes fixed on the station. Her soft, fur-covered body trembled slightly with nervous excitement. She came from Gromel, a peaceful world where her herbivorous people had long ago removed all dangerous predators and poisonous plants. Her enhanced hearing picked up every small sound in the ship, from the gentle hum of the engines to the quiet breathing of her fellow passengers. She had read about humans in her university classes, but she had never actually met one. The third student, Zextar, floated in a special water-filled chamber that allowed him to travel comfortably through space. His aquatic body moved with graceful motions as he studied a datapad through the transparent walls of his container. He was from Neptune's third moon, where his people had built beautiful underwater cities free from any natural disasters or dangerous weather. His analytical mind was already working through calculations about human society and their mysterious home planet called Earth. The transport ship docked with a soft thud, and the 3 students gathered their belongings. They had been selected from thousands of applicants for this special program. Each had shown exceptional academic ability and a deep interest in learning about other species. The Terran exchange program was the first of its kind, designed to help alien students better understand the humans who had recently joined the galactic community. As they walked through the docking bay, their guide appeared. Professor Jake Martinez was a middle-aged human with kind eyes and graying hair. He wore the standard university uniform and carried a datapad with their names and program details. He smiled warmly as he approached the group. "Welcome to Zephyr Prime University," Jake said, his voice calm and friendly. "I'm Professor Martinez, and I'll be your coordinator for the exchange program. I hope your journey was comfortable." Kethaval's body chimed with pleasure at the greeting. "Thank you, Professor Martinez. We are very excited to begin our studies." Ypnora's ears twitched as she listened to the human's voice. There was something different about the way he spoke, a strength behind his words that she had never heard from other species. "We have read much about your people," she said softly, "but we know there is still much to learn." Zextar's voice came through the speakers on his mobile chamber. "Our universities have limited information about human culture and your home planet. We hope to fill in these gaps during our time here." Jake nodded and began walking toward the university's main building. "That's exactly what this program is designed to do. We'll be covering human history, biology, culture, and of course our home planet Earth. I think you'll find it quite interesting." As they walked through the corridors, other alien students and faculty members stopped to stare at the exchange group. Humans were still relatively new to the galactic community, having only made contact a few years earlier. Most aliens had heard stories about these strange beings who came from somewhere in the outer rim of the galaxy, but few had actually met one. The group entered a large conference room where Dean Lisa Thompson was waiting for them. She was a tall woman with short brown hair and a professional manner. Her desk was covered with official documents and welcome materials for the exchange students. "Students, please make yourselves comfortable," Dean Thompson said, gesturing to the specially designed seats that accommodated each species' unique needs. "We're very pleased to have you here for this historic program." Kethaval settled into a chair designed to support his crystalline structure. Ypnora curled up in a soft cushioned seat that helped calm her nervous system. Zextar's chamber was positioned at the table, where he could easily participate in the discussion. "Before we begin," Dean Thompson continued, "I want to make sure you understand what this program involves. You'll be studying human civilization, but more importantly, you'll be learning about our home planet and how it has shaped our species. Some of the material might seem unusual compared to what you're used to on your own worlds. She picked up a thick folder from her desk. These are your orientation materials. Please read through them carefully. Pay special attention to the sections about environmental hazards and biological compatibility protocols. We want to ensure your safety throughout the program. Nora tilted her head, her ears perking up with curiosity. Environmental hazards? Are there dangerous areas in the university? Dean Thompson and Professor Martinez exchanged a quick glance. Jake cleared his throat. The hazards aren't here at the university. They're related to Earth itself. Our home planet has some unique characteristics that we need to prepare you for. What kind of characteristics? Sextar asked, his analytical mind immediately focusing on the new information. Well, Jake began, Earth is what we call a dynamic planet. It has active weather systems, geological activity, and a very diverse ecosystem. Some of the other species in the galaxy have described it as challenging. Kethaval's body produced a confused tone. Challenging how? Do you mean intellectually challenging? Not exactly, Dean Thompson said. Earth is what some classifications call a Deathworld. But don't worry about that term. It's mostly just bureaucratic language. The important thing is that studying our planet will help you understand why humans are the way we are. The three students looked at each other with puzzled expressions. They had never heard the term Deathworld before, and it sounded rather dramatic. On their home planets, the most dangerous thing most of them had encountered was a difficult academic exam or a minor equipment malfunction. We'll be covering all of this in detail during your studies, Professor Martinez assured them. For now, just know that Earth has played a big role in shaping human development. Our planet's unique environment has influenced our culture, our technology, and our way of thinking. Nora's sensitive hearing picked up something in the professor's voice that made her feel slightly uneasy. There was a seriousness there that she didn't quite understand. Professor Martinez, when you say Earth is challenging, what exactly do you mean? Jake smiled, but there was something in his expression that suggested he was choosing his words carefully. Let's just say that life on Earth requires a certain level of adaptability. Humans have learned to be very flexible in how we approach problems and challenges. The orientation session continued for another hour, covering basic program requirements, safety protocols, and academic expectations. The alien students listened politely, but they were all thinking about the mysterious warnings about Earth. None of them could imagine what could be so dangerous about a planet that had produced such a seemingly calm and friendly species as humans. The meeting ended. Dean Thompson gathered the materials and handed them to each student. Please review these documents tonight. Tomorrow we'll begin with some basic Earth science and human history. I think you'll find it quite educational. The three students left the conference room, each carrying their orientation packets and wondering what they would discover about this mysterious planet called Earth. They had come to the university expecting to learn about human art, literature, and philosophy. They had no idea they were about to discover why their new human friends were unlike any other species in the known galaxy. The next morning brought the alien students their first real shock. They gathered in the observation deck of the Terran research station, which orbited high above Earth. Through the massive windows, they could see the blue and white planet spinning slowly below them. At first glance, it looked beautiful and peaceful. Dr. Amanda Riley stood beside the viewing windows, pointing at the swirling white formations covering large parts of the planet's surface. She was a survival specialist who had spent years teaching humans how to live in dangerous environments. Her calm manner and steady voice made even the most frightening information sound routine. Those white spiral patterns you see are called hurricanes, she explained to the three students. They're massive storm systems that can stretch for hundreds of miles. The winds inside them can reach speeds of over 200 miles per hour. Kethaval's crystalline body began producing high-pitched notes of distress. On his homeworld, the strongest winds barely moved the crystal formations. 200 miles per hour? He asked, his voice shaking with disbelief. How do humans survive such forces? Well, we usually try to get out of their way, Dr. Riley said with a small smile. But sometimes people get caught in them. Most humans know how to find shelter and wait for the storm to pass. Yipnora's large eyes grew even wider as she stared at the planet below. Her sensitive hearing could pick up the vibrations of worry in her own heartbeat. Do these hurricanes happen often? During hurricane season, we might get several dozen of them, Captain Pete Collins said as he joined the group. He was a former military officer who now worked as an academic, helping alien visitors understand human capabilities. His weathered face showed the marks of someone who had faced many challenges. Of course, that's just in one part of Earth. Other regions have different types of storms. Captain Collins pointed to another area of the planet where dark clouds covered vast sections of land. Those are thunderstorms. They bring heavy rain, lightning, and sometimes tornadoes. A tornado is like a smaller hurricane, but it moves across the ground and can destroy entire towns in minutes. Zextar floated in his water chamber, his analytical mind working frantically to process this information. Captain Collins, how many humans die from these weather events each year? Actually, not that many, Pete replied. Humans are pretty good at predicting weather patterns and preparing for them. We've learned to build our homes and cities in ways that can handle most storms. Dr. Riley touched a control panel, and the view shifted to show a different part of Earth. Now, let me show you some of our geological features. The image focused on a mountain range where red-hot lava was flowing down the sides of several peaks. Those are active volcanoes, she said matter-of-factly. They're openings in Earth's crust where molten rock from deep inside the planet comes to the surface. The temperature of that lava is about 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. All three alien students made sounds of alarm. On their homeworld, such temperatures existed only in industrial furnaces, and they were considered extremely dangerous. The idea that these furnaces occurred naturally on Earth's surface was terrifying. Humans live near these volcanoes? Yipnora asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Millions of them do, Captain Collins confirmed. The soil around volcanoes is very fertile, so it's great for farming. Some of our most populated areas are built on volcanic islands or near volcanic mountains. Dr. Riley changed the view again, this time showing vast areas of white ice and snow. These are Earth's polar regions. Temperatures here can drop to 80 degrees below zero. The wind can create blizzards that last for days, with snow falling so thick you can't see more than a few feet ahead. Do humans live there too? Kethval asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to hear the answer. Not many, but some do, she replied. We have research stations at both poles, and native peoples have lived in Arctic regions for thousands of years. They've developed special techniques for surviving in extreme cold. Zextar's speakers crackled as he tried to speak. Dr. Riley, I must ask a direct question. How is it possible for any species to develop intelligence while facing such constant threats? On my homeworld, we had to eliminate all environmental dangers before we could focus on developing our civilization. Dr. Riley and Captain Collins looked at each other, and something passed between them that the alien students didn't understand. It was a look of shared knowledge, as if they were remembering something important. That's an excellent question, Zextar, Dr. Riley said. The truth is, these environmental challenges didn't prevent human development. They actually helped drive it. When your environment is constantly trying to kill you, you get very good at solving problems quickly. She walked over to another control panel and brought up a series of images showing Earth's surface in different seasons. Let me show you how Earth changes throughout the year. The images showed the same locations in summer and winter. Green forests became snow-covered wastelands. Flowing rivers turned into solid ice. Mild grasslands became burning deserts or frozen tundra. Most of Earth's surface goes through dramatic changes every few months, Captain Collins explained. Humans have to adapt their behavior, clothing, food storage, and shelter depending on the season. What works in summer can kill you in winter. Yipnora's ears were flat against her head, a sign of extreme stress in her species. How do human children survive? On Gromel, we keep our young in protected environments until they're fully mature. Children play outside in most of these conditions, Dr. Riley said. They learn to swim in water that could drown them, climb trees that could crush them if they fall, and run around in weather that changes from safe to dangerous in minutes. The alien students sat in stunned silence as they processed this information. Everything they were learning contradicted their basic understanding of how intelligent life should develop. On their worlds, safety and stability were the foundations of civilization. The idea that humans had become intelligent while facing constant mortal danger seemed impossible. Captain Collins pulled up a final image showing a peaceful-looking landscape with rolling hills, green trees, and a calm blue sky. This is what humans consider a safe, pleasant environment for a family picnic. The three students looked at the image with relief, thinking they were finally seeing something normal. The temperature here is 95 degrees Fahrenheit with 80% humidity, Dr. Riley continued. The UV radiation from the sun can cause skin cancer with prolonged exposure. There are poisonous snakes in the grass, disease-carrying insects in the air, and predatory animals in the nearby woods. The water in that stream contains bacteria that could make you very sick if you drink it without treatment. Kethaval's musical tones became a discordant wail. Yipnora covered her eyes with her paws. Zextar's water chamber began circulating faster as his stress levels increased. But it looks so peaceful, Yipnora said weakly. It is peaceful by Earth standards, Captain Collins replied. This is the kind of place where human families go to relax and have fun. Children play games here. People sleep outside in tents for enjoyment. Dr. Riley turned away from the viewing windows and faced the three students directly. I want you to understand something important. Everything I've shown you today represents what humans consider normal, everyday life. We don't think of Earth as particularly dangerous because this is the only world we've ever known. To us, this is just home. The alien students looked at each other, then back at the planet spinning peacefully below them. They were beginning to understand that their exchange program was going to teach them much more than they had expected about the strange species called humanity. The classroom felt different the next day. The three alien students sat quietly in their specially designed seats, still trying to process what they had learned about Earth's surface. Professor Jake Martinez stood at the front of the room with a gentle smile, completely unaware of how much his next lesson would shake their understanding of the universe. Today we're going to start with basic Earth science, he announced cheerfully. I thought we'd begin with geology, since it's one of the simpler topics. Kethaval's crystalline body made a nervous chiming sound. After yesterday's revelations about hurricanes and volcanoes, he wasn't sure anything about Earth could be called simple. Professor Martinez activated a large display screen that showed a cross-section of Earth's interior. Our planet is built in layers like an onion. The center is a ball of molten metal that's about 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Around that is more liquid rock, and then the solid crust that we live on. Yipnora's ears twitched with worry. Professor Martinez, if the inside of your planet is liquid, how does the surface stay solid? Good question, Jake replied. The crust is like a thin shell floating on top of all that liquid rock. It's broken into big pieces called tectonic plates. These plates are constantly moving and bumping into each other. He changed the image to show Earth's surface divided into colorful sections. When the plates push together, they create mountain ranges. When they pull apart, they create valleys and rift zones. When they slide past each other, they create earthquakes. Zextar's voice came through his chamber's speakers, sounding strained. How often do these earthquakes occur? Oh, constantly, Professor Martinez said casually. There are several thousand earthquakes every single day. Most are too small for humans to notice, but we get major ones fairly regularly. The alien students exchanged looks of horror. On their homeworlds, the ground was solid and stable. The idea that Earth's surface was constantly moving and shaking was beyond their comprehension. The really interesting part, Jake continued, is how earthquakes have shaped human civilization. Many of our largest cities are built directly on fault lines, which are cracks where the plates meet. Why would humans choose to live in such dangerous places? Kethaval asked, his musical tones expressing pure confusion. Well, fault lines often create good harbors for ships, and the soil is usually very fertile, Professor Martinez explained. Humans have learned to build structures that can survive earthquakes. We just accept it as part of life. Dr. Amanda, Riley entered the classroom carrying a container full of water and what looked like harmless plants floating inside. Sorry I'm late, Jake. I brought some samples for the biology portion of today's lesson. She set the container on the table in front of the alien students. These are just some basic life forms from Earth's oceans. Nothing too exciting. Nora leaned forward to get a better look. The plants were beautiful, with flowing tentacles that moved gracefully through the water. They're lovely. What do they eat? Fish, mostly, Dr. Riley said. Those tentacles have thousands of tiny stingers that inject poison into anything that touches them. The poison paralyzes the victim so the jellyfish can digest it slowly. All 3 students jerked back from the container. What they had thought were peaceful plants were actually deadly predators. Don't worry, Dr. Riley laughed. They can't hurt you through the glass. But yes, humans swim in oceans full of these creatures. We've learned to recognize the dangerous ones and avoid them. She moved to another display and brought up images of various earth animals. Let me show you some of our land-based wildlife. The first image showed a large, furry creature with massive claws and sharp teeth. This is a brown bear. They can weigh up to 800 pounds and run 30 miles per hour. They're found throughout many parts of Earth where humans live. Sextar's analytical mind was working frantically. How do humans defend themselves against such creatures? Usually by making noise so the bears know we're there, Dr. Riley replied. Most bears try to avoid humans. We've learned to coexist with them. The next image showed a spotted cat with powerful muscles and piercing eyes. This is a leopard. They can jump 20 feet straight up and drag prey twice their weight into trees. They hunt at night and are nearly silent when they move. Nora's protective instincts were screaming danger signals. On Gromel, her people had eliminated all predators thousands of years ago. Humans live near these hunters? In some parts of the world, yes, Dr. Riley confirmed. Humans have developed various strategies for avoiding conflicts with large predators. We're actually pretty good at it. Professor Martinez took over the presentation again, showing microscopic images on the screen. Now let's talk about some of Earth's smaller life forms. The images showed tiny creatures that looked like aliens themselves, with strange shapes and multiple appendages. These are bacteria and viruses. They're so small you can't see them without special equipment, but they're everywhere on Earth. What do they do? Kethaval asked, though he was starting to dread the answer. Many of them cause diseases, Jake explained. They get inside human bodies and try to reproduce. The human immune system fights them off, but sometimes the bacteria win and make people sick. Zextar's water chamber began circulating more rapidly. You mean there are invisible creatures trying to kill humans all the time? Not trying to kill us exactly, Professor Martinez clarified. They're just trying to survive and reproduce like all life forms. It's nothing personal. Humans have developed very strong immune systems to deal with them. Dr. Riley added another image to the screen, showing what looked like tiny worms. These are parasites. They live inside other organisms and feed off them. Some live in human intestines, others in the blood, and some even in the brain. Nora made a sound that was part gasp and part whimper. Creatures live inside humans? Millions of them, Dr. Riley said cheerfully. Actually, the human body contains more bacterial cells than human cells. We're basically walking ecosystems. The alien students sat in stunned silence. Everything they were learning contradicted their basic understanding of how life should work. On their worlds, organisms lived in harmony with their environments. The idea that Earth was essentially a battlefield where every creature was constantly fighting for survival was incomprehensible. Professor Martinez brought up a new set of images showing human settlements throughout history. This brings us to human development. All of these environmental challenges didn't stop humans from building civilizations. In fact, they helped make us stronger and more innovative. The images showed cities built on mountainsides, settlements in deserts, communities on islands surrounded by dangerous waters, and towns and forests full of predators. Every human settlement has had to solve unique survival problems, Jake explained. Desert communities learned to find and store water. Mountain villages learned to deal with avalanches and extreme cold. Coastal towns learned to survive hurricanes and tsunamis. What's a tsunami? Nora asked weakly. A giant wave that can be over 100 feet tall, Dr. Riley answered. They're caused by underwater earthquakes. They can destroy entire coastal areas in minutes. Kethaval's body was producing a constant low-frequency hum of distress. How many of these disasters happen each year on Earth? Professor Martinez thought for a moment. Well, if you count everything, earthquakes, storms, floods, droughts, volcanic eruptions, wildfires, disease outbreaks, and animal attacks, I'd say there's some kind of natural disaster happening somewhere on Earth every single day. And humans just accept this? Zextar asked. We don't really have a choice, Jake replied with a shrug. Earth is the only planet we have. We've learned to adapt, prepare, and help each other when disasters strike. It's made us very good at solving problems under pressure. Dr. Riley nodded in agreement. Every human child grows up learning basic survival skills. We teach them to swim in case of floods, how to find shelter during storms, basic first aid for injuries, and how to recognize dangerous plants and animals. The three alien students looked at each other, beginning to understand that they weren't just learning about a different planet. They were learning about a completely different way of existing, where constant danger was so normal that humans didn't even think of it as particularly dangerous. They were starting to realize that everything they thought they knew about intelligent life was about to change. The transport shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere with a gentle vibration that made all three alien students nervous. Despite their fears, they had agreed to visit Earth's surface for what their human guides called a safe and controlled field study. Through the small windows, they could see green forests stretching for miles in every direction. Kevin Walsh sat across from them, checking his equipment one final time. He was a park ranger who had spent 20 years working in Earth's wilderness areas. His calm demeanor and easy smile had helped convince the alien students that this trip would be educational rather than dangerous. He wore simple hiking clothes and carried a basic backpack, looking completely relaxed about landing on what the aliens now understood was a death world. Don't worry, Kevin said, noticing their anxious expressions. We're going to one of our safest locations. Green Valley Nature Preserve is perfect for beginners. The weather forecast is excellent and we'll stay on marked trails the entire time. Dr. Nancy Ford, a biologist who specialized in forest ecosystems, nodded in agreement. I've been studying this area for 15 years. I know every plant and animal for miles around. We'll be perfectly safe. The shuttle touched down in a clearing surrounded by tall trees. Kevin opened the door, and immediately the alien students were hit with sensations they had never experienced before. The air moved across their bodies in irregular patterns, carrying dozens of different smells and sounds. On their homeworlds, atmospheric conditions were carefully controlled and predictable. Kethaval stepped out first, his crystalline body immediately beginning to ring with harmonic frequencies as the wind moved through his structure. The sound was beautiful but completely foreign to him. The air moves so much, he said, his voice filled with wonder and worry. Nora emerged next, her enhanced senses immediately overwhelmed by the complexity of the forest environment. She could hear insects buzzing, birds calling, leaves rustling, and dozens of other sounds she couldn't identify. Her ears swiveled constantly as she tried to process all the auditory information. Zextar's mobile chamber had been equipped with special wheels for ground travel. As he rolled out of the shuttle, his analytical mind began working frantically to categorize and assess all the new data his sensors were collecting. The biological diversity here is incredible, he said, his voice tight with stress. How do you keep track of all these different life forms? You don't really need to, Dr. Ford replied, shouldering her research pack. Most of them are harmless to humans. You learn to recognize the few dangerous ones and ignore the rest. Kevin started walking toward a well-marked trail that led into the forest. This path is used by thousands of visitors every year. It's completely safe for families with small children. As they walked, Dr. Ford pointed out various plants and animals. Those are oak trees. The leaves are safe to touch, but some people are allergic to the pollen. Over there are poison ivy vines. The oils on their leaves cause painful rashes on human skin, so we avoid touching them. Nora stopped walking. There are poisonous plants just growing freely along the trail. Poison ivy isn't really poisonous, Kevin explained. It just causes an allergic reaction. Most humans learn to identify it when they're children. See the three-leaf pattern? That's how you know to avoid it. They continued walking, and Dr. Ford kept up a steady stream of information about their surroundings. Those are wild berries. Some varieties are delicious and nutritious, others will make you sick, and a few can kill you. Human children learn which ones are safe by the time they're 5 or 6 years old. Kethaval's harmonic tones became increasingly discordant as he processed this information. Human children are expected to distinguish between deadly and safe plants before they reach maturity? It's really not that complicated, Nancy said. There are only a few hundred dangerous plants in this region. Most are easy to identify once you know what to look for. Suddenly, the peaceful forest sounds were interrupted by a low rumbling noise coming from the sky. The alien students looked up in alarm, but Kevin and Dr. Ford continued walking as if nothing had happened. What was that sound? Zextar asked, his chamber's sensors detecting changes in atmospheric pressure. Just thunder, Kevin replied. There's a small storm system moving through the area. We might get some rain, but it's nothing to worry about. Within minutes, water began falling from the sky. The alien students had never experienced rain before, as precipitation on their worlds was carefully controlled and distributed through technological systems. The random, unpredictable nature of natural rainfall was both fascinating and terrifying. Dr. Ford pulled a piece of waterproof fabric from her pack and draped it over her shoulders. This is what humans call a light shower. It's actually quite refreshing on a warm day like this. The alien students watched in amazement as Kevin and Nancy continued their nature walk in the rain, seemingly unbothered by water falling on them from above. On their homeworlds, unexpected changes in environmental conditions would trigger immediate emergency protocols. As they walked deeper into the forest, Yipnora's sensitive hearing picked up a new sound. It was heavy breathing and the sound of something large moving through the underbrush. Her ears flattened against her head as every instinct told her to flee. "Kevin," she whispered urgently, "there's something big moving toward us." Kevin stopped and listened carefully. After a moment, he nodded. "I hear it too. Probably a black bear. They're common in this area." The three alien students clustered together in terror as a massive, dark-furred creature emerged from behind, a group of trees about 50 feet away. The bear was even larger than the images they had seen in Dr. Riley's presentation, and its presence filled them with primal fear. "Nobody move suddenly," Kevin said in a calm, quiet voice. "Bears usually avoid humans if we give them space and respect." The bear looked at the group for a long moment, then turned and walked away into the forest. Kevin and Dr. Ford remained completely relaxed throughout the entire encounter. "That's it?" Kethval asked, his voice shaking. "A creature that could kill us in seconds just walked away?" "Bears are actually quite predictable," Nancy explained. "They're more interested in finding food than bothering humans. As long as you don't surprise them or get between a mother and her cubs, they'll usually leave you alone." "But what if it had attacked?" Yipnora asked. "Then we would have dealt with it," Kevin said simply. "I carry bear spray just in case, and I know how to make myself look bigger and more threatening. But in 20 years of working in bear country, I've never had to use defensive measures." Dr. Ford started walking again, leading the group toward a small stream that ran through the forest. "This is one of my favorite spots. The water is clean and cold, and you can often see fish swimming in the deeper pools." Zextar's sensors detected the flowing water and immediately began analyzing its composition. "Dr. Ford, this water contains numerous bacteria and microscopic organisms. How do humans safely interact with it?" "Most of the organisms in natural water sources are harmless," she replied. "Humans have been drinking from streams and rivers for thousands of years. Our immune systems are adapted to handle most waterborne bacteria." She knelt down beside the stream and cupped some water in her hands, drinking it casually. The alien students watched in horror as she consumed what their analysis showed was a complex mixture of living organisms. "Of course, we're careful about water sources in some areas," Nancy continued. "But this stream is fed by a natural spring, so it's quite safe." As the afternoon progressed, the alien students witnessed Kevin and Dr. Ford calmly navigate dozens of situations that would have been considered serious emergencies on their homeworlds. They crossed unstable terrain, identified and avoided poisonous plants, dealt with biting insects, and adapted to changing weather conditions, all while maintaining casual conversation about forest ecology. The breaking point came when they stopped for lunch at a scenic overlook. As they sat on rocks eating their food, Ypnora noticed movement in the grass nearby. A long, scaled creature was slithering toward their group. "Snake," she whispered, her voice tight with fear. Kevin glanced over casually. "Just a garter snake. They're completely harmless. This one's probably curious about our food." He gently picked up a stick and nudged the snake away from their lunch area. The snake moved off into the underbrush without any drama. "You touched it?" Kethaval said, his crystalline body producing high-pitched notes of disbelief. "Not directly," Kevin replied. "But garter snakes are so docile you could handle them, with your bare hands if you wanted to. Some human children keep them as pets." The three alien students sat in stunned silence, finally understanding the true nature of what they were witnessing. These humans weren't just surviving on a death world. They were thriving, adapting, and finding joy in an environment that would kill most other species within hours. As they prepared to return to the shuttle, they realized that their entire understanding of what it meant to be intelligent life in the universe had been completely transformed by a simple walk in what humans considered a perfectly safe forest. Back aboard the orbital station, the three alien students sat quietly in the conference room, staring out at Earth through the large windows. The planet looked peaceful from space, but they now knew the truth about what existed on its surface. Professor Jake Martinez had given them time to process their experiences before the final discussion of their exchange program. Kethaval's crystalline body was producing soft, thoughtful tones instead of the panicked frequencies from earlier. His mind was working through everything he had learned during their visit to the forest. "Professor Martinez," he said slowly, "I need to understand something. When humans first developed intelligence, how did your species survive long enough to build civilizations?" Jake settled into his chair, recognizing that this conversation would be different from their earlier lessons. "That's a complex question, Kethaval. The truth is, we almost didn't survive. Human history is full of times when our species came close to extinction. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, droughts, diseases, and natural disasters wiped out most early human populations multiple times." Dr. Amanda Riley joined the group, carrying data pads with research information. "What made humans different wasn't that we avoided these disasters. We learned to adapt to them faster than they could kill us all." Ypnora's ears twitched as she processed this information. "On Gromel, we developed intelligence only after we had eliminated all environmental threats. We assumed that was the normal way for species to evolve. How did humans think and learn while constantly fighting for survival?" "Fighting for survival is exactly what made us intelligent," Dr. Riley explained. "Every generation of humans had to solve new problems just to stay alive. We had to figure out how to make fire, build shelters, find safe food, treat injuries, and work together as groups. Our brains evolved to handle crisis situations." Professor Martinez activated a display showing human settlements throughout history. "Look at how humans have lived in every environment on Earth. We've built cities in deserts where most life can't survive, created homes on islands that are regularly hit by hurricanes, and established communities in Arctic regions where the temperature never rises above freezing." Zextar's analytical mind was finally beginning to understand the pattern. "You're saying that humans became intelligent because Earth was dangerous, not despite it being dangerous." "Exactly," Jake confirmed. "Every challenge our planet threw at us made us stronger, smarter, and more adaptable. We learned to read weather patterns to avoid storms, study animal behavior to avoid predators, and identify plants that could heal us or harm us." Dr. Riley brought up images of human children playing in various environments around Earth. "This is why human children seem so fearless to other species. From birth, they're taught to assess risks, make quick decisions, and adapt to changing situations. What looks like dangerous play to you is actually survival training." The alien students watched footage of human children swimming in oceans full of dangerous creatures, climbing trees that could break and cause serious falls, and playing games in weather conditions that would be considered emergencies on their homeworlds. But Professor Martinez, Ypnora asked, if Earth is so dangerous, why do humans seem so calm all the time? When Captain Collins and Dr. Riley told us about hurricanes and earthquakes, they acted like these were normal things. Because to us, they are normal, Jake replied with a gentle smile. Humans don't know any other way to live. We've never experienced a world where the ground doesn't shake, where storms don't come without warning, or where all the plants and animals are safe to touch. Dr. Riley pulled up comparative data about the alien students' homeworlds. Your species developed intelligence in stable, controlled environments. You had the luxury of focusing on philosophy, art, and science without worrying about basic survival. That's actually the normal way for most intelligent species to evolve. Humans are the exception, Professor Martinez added. In the galactic community, Earth is classified as a Class Deathworld Deathworld. Most planets that dangerous never produce intelligent life at all. The few that do usually see their species go extinct before they can develop space travel. Kethval's harmonics shifted to a tone of deep respect. That's why humans are so effective in crisis situations during interstellar missions. You've been training for emergencies your entire evolutionary history. When other species panic, humans stay calm and start solving problems, Dr. Riley confirmed. It's not that we're braver than other species, we're just used to things going wrong and having to fix them quickly. Zextar floated closer to the window, looking down at Earth with new understanding. I've been calculating the probability of intelligent life developing on a planet like Earth. By all statistical models, it should be impossible. Yet here we are, Professor Martinez said. Humans didn't just survive on Earth. We thrived. We created art, music, literature, and philosophy while dodging predators and hiding from storms. We built beautiful cities on fault lines and grew gardens in the shadow of active volcanoes. Ypnora stood up and moved to the window beside Zextar. I understand now why the term Deathworld doesn't bother humans. You don't see Earth as a dangerous place trying to kill you. You see it as home. That's exactly right, Dr. Riley said. Earth made us who we are. Every challenge, every disaster, every dangerous creature shaped human development. We're not fighting against our planet. We're part of it. The three alien students spent several minutes in contemplative silence, watching. Earth rotates slowly below them. They were seeing the planet through completely different eyes now, understanding that every swirling storm, every volcanic eruption, and every unstable geological feature had contributed to creating the remarkable species called humanity. When we return to our universities, Kethval said finally, how do we explain this to our professors and fellow students? How do we make them understand that humans aren't just another intelligent species? Professor Martinez considered the question carefully. Tell them that humans are what happens when a death world doesn't kill a species, but instead teaches them to be unkillable. Tell them that we didn't conquer Earth. Earth conquered us, and in doing so, made us stronger than we ever could have become on a safe world. Dr. Riley nodded in agreement. Explain that human children play games that would terrify adult members of most species, not because we're reckless, but because we've learned that controlled risk-taking is essential for survival and growth. Most importantly, Jake added, help them understand that humans don't consider ourselves special or superior. We're just the result of millions of years of Earth's very demanding educational program. We're still learning, still adapting, and still working together to solve problems. Ypnora turned away from the window with a new expression of determination. I want to study human psychological adaptation. Understanding how your species maintains mental health while facing constant challenges could help other species become more resilient. Zextar's speakers crackled with excitement. I want to analyze human problem-solving techniques. The way humans approach crisis situations could revolutionize emergency response protocols throughout the galaxy. Kethval's body rang with clear, strong harmonics. I want to compose music that captures the relationship between humans and Earth. Other species need to understand that you're not separate from your planet. You're Earth's children, shaped by every aspect of its character. Professor Martinez smiled as he listened to their plans. This is exactly what we hoped would happen. through this exchange program. You came here thinking you would learn about human culture and history. Instead, you've discovered something much more important. What's that? Yipnora asked. You've learned why humans are the way we are, Dr. Riley replied. And in understanding us, you've gained new perspectives on what it means to be an intelligent species in this universe. As the exchange program came to an end, the 3 alien students prepared to return to their homeworlds carrying a message that would change how the galactic community viewed humanity. They had discovered that Earth wasn't just another planet with intelligent life. It was a forge that had spent millions of years creating a species unlike any other in known space. The Deathworld had created children who could thrive anywhere, adapt to anything, and face the unknown with calm determination. And perhaps most remarkably, these children of Earth had learned to find joy, beauty, and meaning while living on a planet that never stopped testing their will to survive.